Good morning, it's UNCLELOU here. We're going to start the show here in just a minute. But who's on upset alert this week? I did my SEC preview today, and a lot of big point spreads because you got a lot of these teams playing lower classification schools. But I came up with one game on the slate out of the SEC that I think we can keep an eye on for a possible upset. And then I picked a couple more games, too, that I haven't previewed yet that I'll preview Wednesday and Thursday, but I'm going to go ahead and let you know what those are. A couple of teams on upset alert. One of them is in the top 5. But we'll start the show here in just a second. Also in 2.
Manny Diaz didn't know how to recruit. Guess what? Who did y'all get in the transfer protocol?
Nuts and honey.
Where's my Miami fans at? Report to the UNCLELOU comment section immediately, or sooner if you can. Yeah, I need to hear from a few of you guys tonight. Don't run and hide. You said you wouldn't. Let's go. Anyway, we'll get to the phone calls here in a second. Per usual, if you call in, we'll talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. But give me, when you call in, though, give me a team that you have on upset alert this week. I have a couple here. I've only done the SEC preview so far. The top 25 preview is coming tomorrow, and then on Thursday I'll do a third preview video with teams that didn't fit in the SEC video or the top 25 video. But I've got one upset alert for the SEC games this week. And keep in mind, like I said at the top of the show, it's not a whole lot to choose from because you got a lot of these teams playing lower classification schools, and then even somebody like an Alabama is playing Duke, one of the worst teams in the ACC. Georgia's playing Vandy, one of the worst teams in the SEC. So even the Power 5 versus Power 5 matchups that we have aren't all that intriguing. But the upset alert I have is kind of weird. Ole Miss at Memphis. Memphis is actually favored by 5.5. So I would put Memphis on upset alert. I think it's possible they lose this game. I understand why Memphis is favored, and Memphis is a really good group of 5 team, and some people think they have a chance to be the best group of 5 team this year. I disagree strongly in two with that, but I do think they'll be a really good team. But I'm going to put Memphis on upset alert out of the SEC videos that I did today. Here's another upset alert for you, Power 5 versus Power 5, Pac-12 versus Big 10. Northwestern on the road at Stanford. Stanford is a 6.5 point favorite. I'm not high on Stanford this year. If you saw my preview video, then you already know. I think they're in for a rough year. And on top of that, I'm disappointed that they're getting away from what attracted me to Stanford for a lot of years under David Shaw. You guys have heard me say a bunch of times, Stanford is like an SEC team on the West Coast. Big offensive lines, control the clock, pound the ball, running game, stout defense. They're going to an aired-out offense this year, and I sort of get why they're doing it. They lose Bryce Love. They think KJ Costello can throw them to 10 or 11 wins. I don't know. They're a 6.5 point favorite. I have them on upset alert hosting Northwestern, and I have a top 5 team on upset alert. And I'm going to go ahead and spoil this too, even though this will be on the preview of this game will be on tomorrow's video when I preview the top 25 matchups. Oklahoma is a 23.5 point favorite over Houston. That might be the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I'm putting Oklahoma on upset alert. And I would definitely take Houston in the 23.5. This is ridiculous. Houston might score 40 points. And I'm not kidding. They have a great quarterback, and they might have the best group of wide receivers that Oklahoma is going to face all year, and that's saying something considering Oklahoma plays in the Big 12. But look, Houston has Dana Holgorsen over from West Virginia, so he knows how to run one of those air raid offenses. I'm putting Oklahoma on upset alert. 23.5 points, though, to me, that's easy money. Take Houston. I don't think Oklahoma's beating them by 23.5. And, again, these are upset alerts for a reason. I don't expect Houston to win. I don't expect Northwestern to win. You don't expect Ole Miss to win. These are all at least 5.5 point favorites. And don't call in and tell me your upset alert is some team that's a 1 point favorite either. That's not even really an upset. It's got to be at least 4 or 5 points to be considered a true upset in my mind. So again, I'm putting Stanford on upset alert. They're a 6.5 point favorite at home over Northwestern. I'm putting Memphis on upset alert. They're a 5.5 point favorite over Ole Miss. And I'm putting OU on upset alert as a ridiculous 23.5 point favorite over Houston. That's insane. Tell me why I'm wrong. I don't know. It seems to be a lot of you people's favorite thing to do is to tell me why I'm wrong. What else do I have here on my morning announcements before I start taking phone calls from you people? I did the upsets. Oh! How could I forget? Oh my God, guys! What's the date today? August 27th. What happens on August 30th? Can anyone tell Uncle Lou what happens on August 30th that is of great importance to yours truly? Unbelievable. We have a new Tool album coming out on August 30th. But guess what, though? Guess what Uncle Lou got on Sunday? Guess what Uncle Lou got last Sunday, though? Guess what I got last Sunday? What is that? Just look at it. Would you just look at it? Just look at it. And it is something serious too. I'm telling you that right now. It is something serious. I wish I could play it for y'all, but I'm not going to ruin it. I know there's ways to find it. Some of you probably already have. I'm not going to be somebody that puts it out there, though. But I do have it, though. Someone, I didn't know it was out or whatever. Someone sent it to me, so shout out to that person. What else do I have on my notes before we start taking calls? Florida, you look like... listen, no, not everybody looks like garbage the first game of the year. What? I mean, give me a break. Give me a break. And how is it now that all of a sudden Florida fan is trying to convince everybody how good Miami is? Why is that? When all they've done for the last 8 months is try to tell everybody how sorry Miami is. You know, this is exactly what happens on LouTube week in and week out when Georgia's playing these teams. You guys spend all week telling me that Georgia's going to lose because such and such a team does this and does that and blah, blah, and then we beat them by 40 points, and then you spend the next week telling me that team was no good. Now here we have the opposite here from Florida fan. Florida fan has been telling anybody that'll listen for 8 months how bad Miami is, which I agree. Don't try to piss down our leg now and tell us it's raining. You looked terrible. I seen some meme floating around saying that Felipe Franks had this many yards and this completion percentage and 2 touchdown passes, and that's more than anybody did against Miami last year. Listen, Felipe Franks had a QBR of like 38 in that game. That's terrible. Okay? He looked absolutely dazed and confused at the end of the game when the game was on the line. I mean, that last interception was insane. Florida averaged 1.9 yards per carry after spending all offseason trying to convince people that they had the best running back room in the SEC, which anybody with any sense laughed at that every time they heard it. But give me a break. Florida looked absolutely terrible. Now, does that mean they're going to look terrible the rest of the year? No. But stick to that argument. Stick to the argument of, well, we have time to improve. Don't try to tell people you played good against Miami and Miami's a really good team and Felipe Franks looked good. That's just ridiculous. And honestly, you sound foolish when you say it. What else is on my list here? Oh, I did the SEC picks today, and then I usually pick like 1 or 2 games as a lock of the week or whatever. Put me down at Kentucky minus 12 for my lock of the week out of the SEC predictions today. Kentucky will beat Toledo by more than 12. Don't worry about it. Put your money on Kentucky minus 12. Go to betnow.eu right now, immediately, if you haven't already, and put $1 on Kentucky at minus 12. They're beating Toledo by more than that. Period. What else is on this ridiculous list here? Make sure you use promo code Uncle Lou too over on BetNow if you're new to signing up. They're giving you a 100% deposit right now through September 16th. After that, it goes down to a 50% bonus. So deposit $100, they give you another $100. Deposit $500, they give you another $500. Whatever you put in there, they match it 100% through September 16th. After that, it's 50% bonus. But you got to use that code Uncle Lou. It's one word, Uncle Lou. How many of you guys have the ACC network? Just a brief informal survey in the chat. Just type Y if you have the SEC network and the ACC network, and type N if you don't. Georgia Tech and Clemson are playing this Thursday on the ACC network. Just type Y if you have it, N if you don't. Okay, a lot of you have it. I know Dish Network doesn't have it yet. Comcast doesn't have it yet. There's a lot of big time providers that don't have it yet. I have Dish Network. Of course, they don't have it. But I'm gonna sign up for Hulu and get it. So the Thursday stream is gonna start early, and we'll do like a combination call-in show / let's watch the Georgia Tech Clemson game. Probably what we'll do is mostly watch and react to the game for the first half or so, and then in the second half, when it's 120-0, Clemson's winning, then we'll go to this type of show and just do the phone calls. But I'll go ahead and get the game for this week, and we'll stream it on. Now I'm not streaming the game on YouTube. You guys know how these my game streams are reaction videos. I couldn't believe how many people when I was streaming the Florida versus Miami game was in the comment section crying that I wasn't showing the game. I don't know if these people are new to YouTube. Well, you can't live stream a game on YouTube. You just can react to it. But anyway, so I'll do that on Thursday. I'll start the stream early. I think the game starts at 7 or 7:30. I don't know if I can start the stream that early, but I will try. But as soon as I can get out here, I'll start the stream on Thursday. We'll watch the first half or whatever and react to it. And then once it sort of gets carried away and all that, maybe at halftime or something, then we'll just transition to the regular Thursday show, and I'll open it up for phone calls. Anyway, that's the plan for Thursday. What else? Aubrey Solomon got cleared today, which is great if you're a Tennessee fan. I didn't realize this when I was reading an article. I mean, I knew Tennessee was very inexperienced on the defensive line. I didn't realize how inexperienced they were, I don't think. Aubrey Solomon has more tackles and sacks and tackles for loss than the rest of Tennessee's defensive line combined. So they really needed him. He got his waiver went through today, so that's good. They need to do something about these transfer rules, though. It's ridiculous that you got 2-3 days before kickoff and teams are just now finding out. Now, you expect something like that to happen maybe with a Brenton Cox who transfers real late, but this Aubrey Solomon transferred in January. This situation should have been handled a long time ago. It should have been a yes or a no a long time ago, so Tennessee knew which way they needed to go defensive line-wise. And I think a big part of the problem in general with the transfer situation right now is that there's no transparency. No one knows anything. You don't know why Aubrey Solomon got approved, but somebody else maybe didn't get approved or whatever. There's no transparency, and that leads to a lot of these silly-ass conspiracy theories that you hear, that such and such got approved because he's black, or such and such got approved because he's white, such and such got approved because he went to a big-name program, and such didn't get approved, so he has to sit out. I mean, a lot of this stuff is not true at all, but because there's no transparency and everything is secret and happens behind closed doors, that leads to these crazy conspiracy theories. They need to really do something. Why don't they just let these kids transfer one time, no questions asked? And then, if you transfer a second time, you have to sit out a year, period. No waivers. Just do away with the whole waiver thing. You get one transfer, go wherever you want, play immediately. As long as the school will take you, you can transfer anywhere you want. You don't have to go through no waiver process and appeals and all this stuff. You get one transfer. You can play immediately. After that, you have to sit out a year. It doesn't matter. Your mom dies and you want to move back home, tough titty. You should have thought of that before you transferred the first time. Someone in the stands calls you a butthole and it hurts your feelings. Sorry, you shouldn't have transferred the first time. It just seems like that would just make things so much easier. But anyway, the NCAA is not in the business of making things easier. We already know. What else is worth talking about? Nothing. Anyway, how you guys doing? Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for listening to me ramble. Damn, 270 people in here. We had over 1,000 people for the Miami, Florida stream. I had a great time during that stream. I know a lot of you watched with us or tuned in and out or whatever. We had a great time, especially at the end. It got really wild at the end. I got a little carried away there. If you think that was something, you got to tune in for one of the Georgia streams. Those are absolutely ridiculous. I go absolutely ham for about 3 hours straight out here. Some of you have seen those before. The Georgia Tech Clemson game this Thursday, I'll stream right here on YouTube. I'm streaming the Georgia game on Saturday, but that's just for over on the Patreon page. So if you're not on the Patreon page yet, get yourself signed up. You can click the link in the description of this video or any video that says I think it says support the channel or something. Get yourself signed up on the Patreon page and watch the Georgia game with us this Saturday. I'm streaming a game every Saturday this season for the people over on the Patreon page. But this Thursday we'll do Georgia Tech Clemson for everybody. All right, let me read through these super chats and then I'll turn the phones on. RG Gannon, thank you for the super chat and the donation, sir. I really appreciate it. All you guys that donate, I'm just going to be honest with you and just straight up front. I would not do all these live shows. It wouldn't make sense for me to do all these live shows without the constant support that you guys give me through the donations and the super chat. I understand that not everybody is able to donate, and and that is perfectly fine. The fact that you watch, thumbs upping the videos, sharing the videos, all that stuff helps a ton too. But one of the reasons I make the time to do all these live shows is because of all the support I get through the super chat. So I try to thank you guys every time you do the super chat or whatever. If I ever miss one, I'm sorry. Know that it's not intentional. I missed a lot of them during the Miami and Florida game because I wasn't paying that close of attention to the chat. I was watching the game, and I felt really bad about that when I looked over the super chats the next day and saw how many I missed. I really felt bad. But just know that I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't make the time to do all these live shows if it weren't for you guys. And it really does mean a lot to me, so thank you, though. But R. Gannon says, where is Ice Baby Cakes, a.k.a. New Lady Canes, Dennis Wilson, etc.? If USC junior fan thinks mayonnaise is a meal, Miami fans think glue is a food group. Slim Shady Canes, I knew you wouldn't hide, sir. I said Frank's is trash. Check. I said Florida's D is overrated. Check. I said Miami would win the game. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I would say you were half right on Miami's defense. I thought their secondary and their linebackers, in pass coverage anyway, played terrible. I thought their run defense was okay. I know Dallas broke a couple of big runs. And their pass rush, 10 sacks. You don't see that very often in a Power 5 versus Power 5 matchup. You don't see a team get sacked 10 times in a game very often. So I think they had some bright spots on the defense, but it definitely did not look like a top 5 or top 10 defense in America. Jackson Porter, thank you for the super chat and the donation. Go Canes. I believe in Manny and JW15, which is Jaron Williams. Jaron Williams surprised me some, and he did some of what I thought he would do. I thought he looked good on the first drive, didn't seem to have any nerves at all, but there was zero downfield passing game in the first half for Miami. You could tell the Miami coaching staff was really trying to protect him with short throws, hitch passes, a lot of swing passes out in the flats, things like that. But give him credit. First possession of the game, he drove Miami right down the field, stalled down to kick the field goal, but still he looked good. And then he had, listen, you can see the talent the guy has. He has an absolute laser. In fact, I thought a few times he might have thrown the ball on too straight of a line. Sometimes quarterbacks have to learn that touch. So you need to throw the ball sort of soft enough to get it over the linebackers, but hard enough to get it down, underneath the safeties. And I think that's something he'll learn over time. But he's got an absolute cannon. Waikiki, thank you for the super chat, the donation, sir. What game are you excited about watching that nobody is talking about this week? Houston, Oklahoma, I think will be a good one. Out of the SEC, I think South Carolina and North Carolina has a chance to be a pretty good game, although I expect South Carolina to win that game pretty comfortably. I'm not a believer in North Carolina. I know Mac Brown is Mac Brown, but North Carolina does not have the talent to match up with South Carolina. And on top of that, South Carolina has a history of performing pretty well in these week 1 games against ACC opponents. So I think that one will be a good one to keep an eye on. And I don't know. It's week 1. I'm going to watch as many of all the games as I can, but those are 2 that come to mind right now out of the SEC. I haven't done the previews for all the other games yet, so I can't say for certain which of the other games I'll be watching, but I'll be watching as much of as many of the games as I can. Aaron Shelley, thank you for the super chat and the donation, sir. From better than NCAA QBs. Changed my mind. Better than any of them? Well, first of all, I can't change your mind. People who feel that way, their mind can't be changed. I would say he's definitely one of the best 5 or 10 quarterbacks in all of college football this year. I would disagree that he's the best, but of course that means I'm not a real fan. So I get told that on a daily basis. I'm not a real fan because I don't think, whatever. I don't want to get into all that. I already stirred up a hornet's nest with the Twitter mob earlier today. Let's see. Jake Break Sr., thank you for the super chat. And and a super sticker. He says, ha, ha, ha. I think that's only the first or second one of those I've seen. But what is that, a dancing egg with a bird on his head? Yeah, that's pretty good. Trace Lothar, thank you for the super chat, the donation, sir. It really means a lot. Thank you. After seeing Florida's disappointing game against Miami, do you think they will still be second in the East, or do you think a team like Mizzou is the favorite? Glad I can support you as a Patreon, Lou. When I did my preseason breakdowns of all the teams, I think I had Mizzou and Florida both going 9-3, but I had Florida. I think I had Florida beating Mizzou on the road. I do think it will come down to Florida and Mizzou for that second place spot. If Florida ends up being a little bit worse than I thought, maybe they finish third. If Mizzou ends up being a little bit better than I thought, maybe they finish second. But I do think it'll be close between those two teams. And Missouri has owned them over the last couple of years, blowing them out 2 straight years. Jake Brake Sr., thank you for the super chat and the donation. Go Dogs, yes sir. It's gonna be a big weekend. I think Georgia wins somewhere in the 44-16 type of range, 44-17, something like that. I think it's gonna be a blowout. Rob Johnson, thank you for the super chat. If South Carolina gets upset, what do you think their record could fall to? All of their FBS games are suspect if they do lose. 2-10 ? I think I picked them to go 5-7 this season. If they lose this week, I would probably adjust that down by 1 game to 4-8. I think North Carolina is one of the worst 3 or 4 teams on their schedule. So if they can't beat North Carolina, it's going to be a brutal. It's already going to be a brutal season just because of their schedule. If they lose to North Carolina, I think any hopes of a bowl game are out the window. All right, 706-510-6817 is the number if you want to be on the show.
I bust my ass, Lou. That's what I do every day. So you be careful who you mouth off to, jerk off.
Good morning, Annette. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, what's going on, Uncle Lou?
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
It's Uncle Pepe.
What's up, Uncle Pepe?
It's Uncle Pepe. I'm calling about y'all too scared of us. Y'all scared of Arkansas Razorbacks. Y'all have to play our little brother, Arkansas State. Y'all can't even play us.
Well, you're on the same rotation with UGA that every other team in the West is, and the last time we played you, we beat the absolute bejesus out of you in Little Rock with a backup running back. So, I mean, the reality is nobody's scared of Arkansas, sir. You won 2 games last year. Good luck against Portland State this weekend, but you're finishing last in the SEC again. It's as simple as that.
That's going to be a trash can of quarterback. Now we got Ben Hicks. He's a pretty good quarterback. And we got one of the best tandem running back duos. We got Raheem Boyd and we got D-Wall Whaley. And they're going to run all over Georgia in the SEC championship game.
Georgia versus Arkansas in the SEC championship game, huh?
I don't even think y'all can make it an SEC championship game after you lose to our little brother, Arkansas State. Y'all be so humiliated. Y'all gonna run and hide against everyone else.
Oh, well, you just said Arkansas is beating Georgia in the SEC championship game, so I just assumed you thought Georgia would be in the SEC championship game since you literally said it. So.
Well, y'all got a better chance than most people, but y'all got to get through Arkansas State first.
Well, I mean, all we can do when it comes to playing Arkansas State is thoughts and prayers, I guess. Thank you for the call, though. 706-510-6817 is the number if you want to be on the show. The Arkansas fans showing up early in the season. Arkansas fans have to show up early in the season in case things go sideways again, and they disappear by the end of September again. I think North Texas just scored on Arkansas again. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hello, Lou. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. How about you, though?
It's going great. Justin Tagovailoa here. I have a few teams on upset alert. I was wondering if you would like to hear about them.
You already know I would.
Yeah, I got plenty of them. So I have quite a few of them. So my first one I'm going to start here is I wasn't able to call in for my Florida-Miami predictions. I had Miami winning, I think, like 27 to like 24. But actually it was 35-17. But whatever, close enough. And so here's my first game, upset alert. I think Florida A&M is going to really put up a tough test with UCF. Honestly, I think that Florida A&M they have an elite running back. They have about 6 elite running backs back there, all capable of being first-round picks. They may all go first day here. And we're talking Saquon Barkley type running backs back there. I think they're going to put up around 40 points. I think UCF, they're going to hold them to about 30, I would say. So that's an upset alert I have. I wanted to do Clemson and Georgia Tech, but I was like, no, man, Clemson's too good, you know. Like, they're just a little better than Georgia Tech. So I think Clemson's going to win. I would say it's a mini upset alert, but I think Clemson will win, I don't know, like 30 to 24, I would say. We'll go with Clemson. Here, Texas A&M. Yeah, I got Texas A&M. I got Texas State coming out with the win there. Texas State, one of the best teams I've seen in a long, long time, Lou. I'm telling you. They are talented, man. They're going to destroy some people this year. I don't think they're a top 10 team, but I think they're a top 15 team. They're very good. Texas A&M, they're nowhere around. They're nowhere around town, man. I mean, they're just bad. We got Utah, BYU. I got Utah winning this one. It's not an upset alert, but got Utah winning. And then I'm gonna quicken this up for you because I know that you got other people that want to get on the line. So I'll go with the real upset here. I got Duke over Alabama. I know my brother out there, he's gonna line them up for a little bit, but I think Duke's just gonna pull away. You know, of course they had their quarterback go to New York, and that just tells you the talent they have at quarterback. He's been great in the preseason. He's a preseason superstar, and I expect Duke to continue that tradition with great quarterbacks going out to the NFL. I'm gonna have them winning 56-10 over Alabama. I think Alabama's quick for 10 points of the game. Duke will shut them out, score 56 straight. And then Georgia Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's very good. I told you I've been high on them for the past 2 years almost. I feel bad for Georgia, man. They got something coming for them. They got a butt beating what they got coming for them. I mean, it's not going to be close, man. We're talking 77-10. Vanderbilt wins this game. Quite frankly, Jake Fromm. I mean, who is this guy? No one ever heard of this guy, man. I mean, they don't have any running backs over there at Georgia. They got awful receivers. Don't even get me started on that defense, man. I mean, high schoolers could score 70 points on that Georgia defense. It's ridiculous, man. Absolutely horrendous. I think Kirby Smart should be fired. I think he should come here to Oklahoma State. But that's just what my opinion is. He's terrible, though. Oregon, Auburn. I'm going to have to go with Auburn. I know Oregon, I think Auburn's favored on that one. So, upset alert, though. I think Auburn's going to win by about 3 or 4 points, but I would have to say Oregon is going to be very close. I think it'll be a close game. I think it's just a better matchup for Auburn, towards Auburn. I mean, Auburn's in the SEC, man. They got defensive line is pretty wicked. They got a pretty wicked defensive line this year. They'll be causing some serious problems to Oregon. So, and then last but not least, Louisiana Tech and Texas. I mean, Texas, they haven't won a game. Their first game. I mean, they lost 2 years in a row to Maryland. I mean, it's disgusting. If they're losing to Maryland, they're gonna lose to Louisiana Tech. That's all it is. So I have Louisiana Tech winning this game. I don't know, 45-20. How does that sound, Lou? Are you dead, Lou? Lou, are you there? Lou? Lou. Oh my gosh, it's Uncle Lou. Oh, Lou, come back, man. Come back, brother. Did I kill you again, man? Did this man? Why? I keep killing you, man. It's an accident, man. I tell you, I'm sorry about this, bro. Sorry to all the viewers. I'm so sorry. Lou? Lou, man, hey, look. Okay, I'll just continue my predictions here. I got Oklahoma shutting out Houston 55-10. Elite defense and elite offense. Jalen Hurts throws 500 yards, rushes for 100. And Kennedy.
James Miller, thank you for the super sticker. I think that is called. A giant thumbs up for you. Carolina Jackpot, what's up, buddy? He says, boom, Cox 41, the UN cheats 14. That would be an impressive win. I'm not sure if South Carolina can win by that much, but I would definitely lay the 10 in the South Carolina game. Thank you for the super chat, sir. Appreciate it. You guys check out Carolina Jackpot's channel if you haven't already. The season's getting ready to start, and trust me, you do not want to miss his post-game reaction videos. James Miller, thank you again. Number one fan, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. It means a lot. Thank you. Andrew Ray, thank you, sir. He says, woo, go dogs. Ocean Man, take me by the hand. Good morning, y'all, with Uncle Lou and that. That's you. Go. 3, 2, 1. All right. Be ready to go when you call in. 706-510-6817 is the number if you want to be on the show. Who's on upset alert this week? I'm putting OU on upset alert. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Uncle Lou.
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
It's Gray Buck. I haven't called in a couple months. You know, I've been busy like working over the summer and stuff. But let me tell you something. You know, I live in Augusta. I go to prep. I'm a senior this year. You don't need to attend any Augusta prep football games this year.
Okay, good.
Because our team is horrid.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's not much of a need to attend any high school football games in the city of Augusta. It's not a very good not a very good tradition of high school football around here.
No, it's not. I know Greenbrier's not looking real good either this year. One of my friends told me, but I will tell you what is looking good, Uncle Lou, is the Augusta Prep cross country team. I'm sure you're very interested.
Oh yeah, without question. There's nothing more exciting than watching people run long distances.
Well, get this. What if I told you that the state meet, you could drive only 5 hours on the day of the Georgia-Florida game to come watch me and Augusta Prep win the state championship on November 2nd. Just 5 hours.
Sir, I can be in Jacksonville in 5 hours. What the hell would I do that for?
I actually, my stepdad got tickets to the game for the second year in a row, and I can't go because of that. So,
oh man.
Well, I'll be attending next year for sure when I graduate.
Well, listen,
but,
listen, people. I'm giving you a hard time. I'm just messing with you. But I mean, reality is, you only get to do high school one time, and you know whether it's cross country or football or baseball or soccer or whatever it is, do that. There will be plenty of Georgia, Florida games. You know, after you're done doing all that. So don't let anybody give you a hard time. Do what you have to do. Enjoy yourself, and you'll have plenty of time to go to Georgia games after.
Yeah, 100%. But also, I'm going to the UNC South Carolina game on Saturday. I'm a big Carolina fan, the real Carolina, North Carolina.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure what I think. I keep on flip flopping a little bit. I'm excited about Mac Brown's first game back. I think our team is more talented than people realize. Like, yeah, I know we went 2-9 last year. A lot of that was bad coaching. A lot of that was losing close games and the fact that we didn't have a quarterback in clutch situations. I mean, people forget we almost beat Syracuse at the Carrier Dome, which was a game that went to, I think, double overtime and we lost. But Mac Brown finally got his 4-star quarterback. We had one guy transfer out the other day who lost the competition. But it's gonna be interesting to watch for sure. I think I at least hope we can be competitive.
I mean, the good news is, I mean, you're not likely to beat South Carolina, but the good news is you can be a complete garbage can in the ACC, and you're still only about this far from being the second best team.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, God, now that Miami's not doing well, it looks like the Coastal might just be. We're almost as bad as last year. I could see Virginia going like 8-4, 9-3, and winning it though.
I think Virginia's going to surprise some people who don't pay close attention to college football. They have the second best quarterback in the ACC, and he's one of those runaround guys. And I mean, we've seen before that you don't have to have a great team, if you have one of these really good quarterbacks who really can run and throw, that can take you a long way. I mean, look what Lamar Jackson did at Louisville. Louisville is an absolute disaster of a football program. They get Lamar Jackson, they're winning 8, 9, 10 games a year. They lose him, they're back to winning 2 or 3. So I'm not saying that Virginia will win 10 games. I mean, I think they could, but I think Virginia's an interesting team to keep an eye on because there's just not a whole lot of competition in that division, and that Bryce Perkins is the type of guy that can take a game over. So
Bryce Perkins is honestly, when he did that stream a couple weeks ago, that was like most exciting players to watch. Bryce Perkins just instantly came to my mind.
Right, yeah, he's the real deal. So, but hey, good luck at your cross country thing, and make sure you stretch before you run. It's very important. But thank you for the call. Appreciate that. North Carolina fan checking in. I've actually met him one time in real life. I went to Lou Junior soccer games or practices or something. He seems like a good kid. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Lou, good morning. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great.
All right. Calling in, want to talk about the mighty Florida Gators, if that's right with you.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
So Felipe Franks, did you catch him fist pumping and trash talking to the fans Saturday night?
Yeah, delusion level 1 million on that guy. He's under the impression that he played a good game, and he hasn't learned any of his lessons from last year, unfortunately. I don't see much. I don't see him being much better than he was last year, and I mean that's just ridiculous. You're a top 10 team. You're playing an unranked team. You're struggling. You make one good play in the third quarter, beginning of fourth or something, and you're over there trash talking the fans and searching out cameras on the sideline to yell at and stuff like that. Then you immediately go back in the game, throw an interception. Then you fall down on the ground and pretend like you're hurt, but the only thing hurt was his feelings. Just an embarrassing. He's just embarrassing. I would be worried, and I'd be even more I'd be even more worried. Emory Jones must not be any good. I'm sorry, and he's from the state of Georgia. I don't have any hate for him or whatever. He must not be that good either. And the only quarterback you signed in the 2019 class changed his mind, and he's gone. So I don't know what if Felipe Franks is Florida's best option, I hate to see what next year is going to look like.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I was watching the game, and the whole first half, all we were trying to do was little short, easy, high completion passes, get Franks in the game, get confident. But when he was running around holding the ball and he obviously wasn't doing very good running, I'm thinking, why not put Emory in? He can throw these passes, I think, maybe, these short passes. But like he said, obviously, if he was good, they would have had some packages for him that game to come in and at least run like a wildcat or something. But
I'll be curious to see because I can't remember off the top of my head. Maybe obviously y'all are off this week because you played the week early, but don't you don't play Kentucky next, right? You have a nobody and then you play. Is that right? Or
UT Martin. Yeah, we got 3 weeks before Kentucky.
That's right. Okay, so I'll be curious to see because no matter how y'all looked the other day, I think most people would expect you to dominate UT Martin. I'll be curious to see what Dan Mullen does with Emory Jones in that game, if anything. I would imagine he would get some playing time in that game. I mean, you don't have to worry about redshirting or anything like that. I mean, he's been there 2 years now, so I would assume he would get some playing time in that game. I'll be curious to see how he looks.
Yeah, like last year, it was unfortunate. It was Dan Mullen's first year, so those easy games with lots of meaningless snaps. He had to keep Franks in to work him into the system and try to build his confidence and get a bunch of touchdowns. So really didn't get to see a whole lot of Emory Jones in those games that he did appear. So I'm hoping this year, he gets to play 3 quarters or 2 quarters, and then Kyle Trask gets to play a quarter. Yeah, because I'm not sure which one is the number 2.
Right.
But anyways, about Frank still on trash talking, it's not a good look. But I think I would take that over 2017, where he'd make a bad play and just withdraw into a shell and pout. So I don't like it, but I think I prefer it over just falling up and woe is me, the fans hate me type attitude. But
anyways, that video, your season is over. That's nothing but a troll. You're just trying to troll us Gator fans. Because last year with Kentucky,
it has nothing to do with trolling Gator fans in particular. I mean, I've been making those videos every Sunday morning. Whoever loses gets put on those videos. So it's nothing specific to Florida.
Oh, no, I know, but we won. That's why I'm saying it's a troll, because we played pitiful against Kentucky last year. Looked terrible. I said, well, this ain't good. And then we, beat Mississippi State, beat LSU. We played a decent game against Georgia until the third quarter. So I don't think our season is over by no means. If we play like that every single game, it is over for sure. We'll be lucky to get 6-6 playing like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think we will play like that. It's just fundamental was the main thing. When you fumble a basic handoff, a basic pitch, so an interception that you had no business throwing. The one interception, it just you threw a high ball. That's Felipe Franks, but the one was inexcusable.
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure how much success you'll have the rest of the way going 1.9 yards per carry either. That, to me, that was almost. No, that was almost that. I think I'll be honest. I think that was more surprising to me. I mean, I've been saying for a while I don't think Felipe Franks is like an elite level quarterback or anything. But if you look at his numbers last year, they were similar to Jake Fromm's overall. I mean, he had 25 or 26 touchdowns, 7 or 8 interceptions, something like that, about 2,700 yards. So I mean, nothing that blows you away. But 1.9 yards per carry, that's bad no matter who you're playing. I've been hearing about Florida's running backs. I don't know. I mean, can that be fixed? I don't know.
I still think Michael Pirine has been back. I'm just not sure. I'm not. Time will tell when we play more games. I'm not sure how much of that was our offensive line, how much of that was their defensive line. I'm not. I don't think Michael's an elite running back, but I think he's a good running back. If he had a good offensive line, he'd have success. So time will tell on that. If it was our offensive line, their defensive line, so on and so forth. So one last thing, this year, do you feel like this is the year that Georgia has to win a national title if they're going to get one?
I mean, I don't ever think there's a year where you say, we have to win it this year or it's never happening. 2019, see, 2017 was never supposed to happen. That was completely I mean, I'm a Georgia fan, but let's just be real. I mean, that was just completely out of the blue. No one saw that coming. I mean, even halfway through the season, nobody was really taking Georgia that seriously in 2017. I mean, we were coming off a 7-5 season. It was Kirby's second year. So, I consider what happened in 2017 to be, a little bit ahead of schedule. Most people were pointing to 2019 in the beginning as the year Georgia would have a chance. I still think we have a chance this year. I don't, anybody who names 5 teams that they think are going to win the national title and doesn't name Georgia just hates Georgia or doesn't understand college football. I mean, they're second or third in the odds to win a national title. All kinds of people are picking them to win a national title. They've been better than Alabama each of the last 2 years. They just got out-coached in the second half. So, I mean, things are pointing in the right direction. Obviously, things are going to, Georgia's going to have to probably catch a couple of lucky bounces during the season. Things are going to have to go a certain way. But I think Georgia's got a great chance this year. But I wouldn't say if they don't win it this year, I mean, I think a lot of people are saying that because of Fromm, because they expect Fromm to leave after this year. I'm still scratching my head 2 years later, and I'm about to piss off all the Georgia fans again, which I didn't want to do on here today because I stirred up a UGA Disney dog hornet's nest on Twitter already once today. I don't know what Fromm did in 2017 to get us to the national title. I can't think of a single thing. So I don't understand why anyone would think we couldn't go next year without Fromm. I mean,
I think you would have got there with Easton as well.
I mean, they even
was
asked
carried by
Fromm. They even
Chubbin Michelle.
they had Fromm had a media availability the other day about the Vandy game, and a reporter even asked him, like, when you look back on that 2017 season when y'all made that run, like, what do you see when you look at your film of yourself? And he goes, I see a guy who loved handing the ball off to Nick Chubb and Sony Michelle, and that's what I saw too. Now, obviously, we didn't win it, and I don't think Georgia's gonna win it throwing for 2,700 yards. I don't think you can win a national title in today's football with a pocket passing quarterback who only throws for 2,700 or 2,800 yards. Now, you can win a national title throwing for 2,700 or 2,800 yards if your quarterback's running for another couple of hundred yards. But Fromm ran for negative 30 yards last year. So I think he's got to. I think you got to be closer to 3,300 yards at least in today's football as a pure pocket passer to win a national title. So I hope he'll do it. I hope we get there, but I don't think that if we don't, it means we can't just because we lose Fromm. I don't believe that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how much y'all's new coordinator lets Fromm throw the ball, because the guy's, he's pretty accurate and he's very smart. And y'all definitely have the running game to make them play for the running game, so that gives him the advantage. So I'm just curious to see in his junior season how much they'll let him pass. And if they do, I'm not a Georgia fan, but that's the recipes for success, I think, because, if they try to get back and stop the passing game, Swift is just going to tear them up. I don't know what's the other one's name that's been hurt the past 2 years.
Zamir White.
If he gets to play, Zamir White. If he's what y'all think he is, then y'all will be hard to stop. But the only reason I was asking about that, the same mindset that you don't know who's going to get a quarterback next year.
Yeah.
As far as play, so I'm just asking that.
I mean, we got Carson Beck
have a
coming
good morning,
in.
Lou.
Oh yeah. Thank you for the call. Good luck to your Gators the rest of the way too. I mean, we have Carson Beck coming in 2020, and he's what, the 4th or 5th highest rated QB prospect in that class. But you don't know what I'm not saying that doesn't automatically mean he's going to be good. And believe me, I know that. And we also have DeJuan Mathis. I think people are forgetting a lot about him because he's probably not going to play much this year because of that brain cyst that he had, but he'll be back too. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou. How you doing, man?
Doing good. You?
Just calling in. Just calling in. Wanted to let you know there's not a question or anything like that. Just wanted to say I appreciate your analysis. I'm a UGA alum. I just wanted to let you know that there's not a whole lot of shows where you can't find somebody who's a die-hard Georgia fan that doesn't also have a bias for Georgia. I just simply enjoy your show for the analysis, the offense, defensive, and the future predictions. Also going back in the past, love that Tennessee radio show you went on.
Oh yeah.
Anyhow, brother, I appreciate you taking the time to do this, and that's all I got to say, man.
Hey,
have a great night.
Thank you, and you don't know how much that means to hear that today too, because it may seem like things never get to me or bother me or whatever, but I spend a good portion of my day getting told by a lot of Georgia fans that I'm a fake fan, I'm not a real fan, I must be a closet Florida fan, all because I might say that I think Trevor Lawrence is better than Jake Fromm. That's not an insult to Jake Fromm. Trevor Lawrence is one of the best quarterbacks to come out of high school and through college in a long time. It's not an insult to say that you're not quite as good as him or whatever. So I don't know. That does mean a lot that you called in and told me that today. So thank you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Yo, Uncle Lou, what up?
What's up, buddy?
Not much. I just had a couple of comments. I do agree with your prediction. I just wanted to say that Houston can seriously upset OU this weekend.
Yeah.
For a couple of reasons, and I want to hear your thoughts on that. But the first reason is that Dana Holgorsen actually has a lot of experience, playing OU. He was at VDU. They played him for several years. And they were within a whisker of winning last year. Now, I know the roster is different, the circumstances are different, but, Houston actually beat OU the last time they played. They're 2-1 all time. And, De'Ara King and, looking at a lot of the production that Houston returns, I just think that Houston would go into that game with nothing to lose and just, play. Now, I would still agree that, on paper, OU's the favorite, but I think there's a legitimate shot for Houston winning.
Yeah, my concern, if I'm a Houston fan or pulling for Houston for some reason or another, is run defense. I mean, obviously they lose Ed Oliver. No one could replace him, but they lose a lot more than Ed Oliver in their front seven. And if Oklahoma wins this game, it's going to be on the. And I mean, listen, people. When you do an upset alert thing, people call you an idiot. There's a reason. There's a reason it's an upset alert. Obviously, it would be a shock if Houston won this game. But if it wasn't a shock if Houston won, then it wouldn't be an upset alert. So I expect Oklahoma to win this game. But 23.5 points seems ridiculous to me. And I think Oklahoma, if they win this game, it'll be on the ground. They've got some serious running backs, a good offensive line. People don't think of. I know you do. You're a Texas fan, so you pay more attention to Oklahoma than the average, maybe SEC fan or whatever does. So you know about Oklahoma's running backs and their offensive line. But the average person thinks about Oklahoma. They think Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, CeeDee Lamb, 50 points a game, throw the ball, whatever. But they've got some good running. They've got some great running backs, great offensive line. And, of course, Jalen Hurts can run around. So that's my concern about Houston actually winning the game. But I think 23.5 points is ridiculous. I'll take Houston in the 23.5. And I think there is a possibility for them to win the game, but their defense is going to have to probably play lights out.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this game is reminds me very similar of the Oklahoma State-Texas games in the past, where Oklahoma State kind of comes in to Austin with nothing to lose, and they magically create an upset. Now, I know the circumstances are a lot different. Obviously, Texas has gotten a lot better. Oklahoma has been consistently good, but it's one of those games that, if Oklahoma just lets off the gas just a little bit, they could be in for a rough weekend. It was similar to this last year, too. They played Army, and Army was supposed to win that game, actually. It was like an overtime miracle that Oklahoma had to come back in and win. So it wouldn't be a shocker to anybody if this was a very tight game, and also a game in which Houston could win, which they have won in the past.
Right.
But again, that game was in Houston. That was with a 2015 Houston team that won the Peach Bowl and went, I believe, 13-1, and Houston's been one of those group of 5 programs that's been consistently good. They're not like, top elite, like, power 5, or sorry, group of 5 team all the time, but they're one of those teams that you can't sleep on.
Yeah.
Then another game.
Who's that coach they used to have? Who's that coach they used to have when they won like 11 games and beat Florida State?
Oh, that was Tom Herman.
No,
that was the Peach Bowl, 2015.
That's right. Where is he at now?
Yeah, Texas.
That's right. Yeah, good morning. Yeah. Good strip clubs in Texas, don't they? They got good strip clubs out there?
Yeah, there are.
That's what got him there. That's what got him there, ain't it? Tell the truth.
Vodka Tom, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the guy enjoyed himself, but not as much as the Ohio State guy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that guy's a nut job, man. Yeah, that guy's a lunatic. He's off his rocker.
Yeah, the lunatic guy. Yeah.
No wonder him and Urban. No wonder him and Urban Meyer were like this for all those years.
Zach Smith. That's the guy.
Zach Smith and Urban Meyer.
Yeah, I mean,
birds of a feather.
That guy's
together.
A wife beater.
Yeah. Birds of a feather. I tell you what. Anyway.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Oregon, Auburn?
Man,
do you think that Auburn has a legitimate shot?
I'm gonna be honest here. I'm obviously, I don't hide it. I'm an SEC homer. I tend to root for SEC teams during bowl season and even in big non-con games and stuff like that. And that may be clouding my judgment here a little bit because I picked Auburn to win this game when I did my season preview videos over the last month or so. And then even today when I was doing the preview video, like everything inside of me was telling me to take Oregon to win that game, and I couldn't do it. I took Oregon in the 3.5, but I even said in the video I think Auburn finds a way to pull it out in the end. But I honestly, outside of the fact that Oregon has struggled in big games against the SEC, literally every time they've played one, I can't find a legitimate reason why Oregon would lose this game. I really can't. I know Auburn's got an elite defensive line, but Oregon's got an elite offensive line. The SEC, a lot of SEC people don't want to give Oregon credit because they're a quote-unquote soft Pac-12 team. Oregon's offensive line is 100% legit. It's top 2 or 3 in America, period. That's not just my opinion. That anyone that has ranked offensive lines has Oregon in the top 2 or 3. They are legit. So if there's a team that can sort of hold Auburn's defensive line in check, it's Oregon's. And on top of that, they have one of the best 4 or 5 quarterbacks in America in Justin Herbert. The barn is starting a guy who was in PE at this time last year, in Bo Nix. So everything says to take Oregon, and I just couldn't make myself do it. But I do think this will be a really good game.
Yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, Bo Nix was the number 1 dual threat QB out of his class. Not that ratings or high school ratings really matter, but supposedly Bo Nix is supposed to be really good, which is why he won the starting job immediately as a true freshman. On top of that, I think that Auburn has a much better D line, and that defensive line for Auburn, if they are going to win that game, to be, capitalizing on their strength. I don't think their offensive production is nearly as good as what it used to be. But you never know, right? I mean, it's one of those games that you look at and you could be like, it could go either way. I think there's a lot more pressure on Oregon just because they have a chip on their shoulder. Their conference is viewed as weak. And if they lose this game, that'll only further confirm the stereotype of the SEC. So not even the stereotype, but just the perception that the Pac-12 is, a laggard conference behind the rest of them, which I don't personally think is that true. But if it is true, it is, because Oregon's supposed to be the best Pac-12 team on paper right now.
Yeah. And the
voters think so. Everybody thinks so.
You're a smart individual, even though me and you argue about UJ and Texas all the time. I know you know your football. So you make the comment about Bo Nix and him being the number 1 dual threat recruit and all that, and that's great. But forget you have Sam Ehlinger for a minute. If I were to tell you that you get to choose your quarterback this year, you either get to have a senior who is on every single draft expert's big board as being the second quarterback taken in the NFL draft next year, or you can have the number 1 dual threat quarterback out of high school who's never taken a snap. Who are you going to take?
Obviously the proven talent, right?
Yeah.
The senior.
Because who was the number 1?
Have to make one
who was the number 1 dual threat quarterback last year?
Justin Fields.
And how did that work out?
Well, it didn't work out because Jake Fromm was the leading QB, but he was also more proven. And on top of that, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know your offense that well, but I believe it's a pro-style offense, not a dual threat offense. But I could be wrong on that. Pro, first-year freshman QBs, those have been first, but not everyone's Trevor Lawrence, right? I was going to say Trevor Lawrence was starting, but again, we don't know how good Bo Nix is. He's supposed to be very good, but I don't think, like you said, he's probably not going to be as good. And also his supporting staff is not as good as, let's say, Clemson's, right? Where Clemson has literally every wide receiver that you can think of. They have ETN, they have a solid O-line, I just don't think Auburn is anywhere close to that. But like you said, Oregon is definitely one of the Pac-12 teams that has a chip on their shoulder. They have a lot to prove. And man, if they lose this game, I promise you, the Pac-12 will be viewed as very weak the entire year, which will be kind of similar to the judgment that we had last year. Now, obviously, there's Washington and obviously Stanford, which is the other team that I like in the Pac-12. But man, if Oregon loses this game, it sets a very bad precedence for the Pac-12 the rest of the year.
Yeah, and obviously Stanford's got a chance to prove a little bit for the Pac-12 with teams like Northwestern and Notre Dame on their schedule. But, most people, if you go by the polls anyway, would consider Washington to be either the first or second best team in the Pac-12, and they play absolutely nobody at a conference. So I think you're right. If Oregon loses, and God forbid they lose by, a couple of touchdowns or something, people are going to just, they're going to write the Pac-12 off. And if that happens, you can forget a one-loss team getting into the playoff from the Pac-12. It won't happen. If Oregon loses by 10 or 14 points to Auburn, somebody in the Pac-12 is going to have to be 13-0 or they're not getting in. Perception is reality, unfortunately. It won't matter really whether the team deserves to be in or is actually one of the best 4 teams. People are going to point back to that game and say there's just nobody out there worth it. So I think you're right about that.
Yeah, and the conference has just not been performing up to par. It's been 15 years since a Pac-12 team has won a national championship. So
that one's not legit. So.
Wait, what is not legit?
Southern Cal's
stat or
Southern Cal's Natty's not legit.
Oh.
They had players that were bought and paid for. So you can't take the memories away. You can't take the memories away from the fans. I understand that, but the reality is they cheated and they got caught. So it's similar to Clemson in 2018.
Yeah.
So.
Surprisingly, the university still claims it, by the way.
Oh, yeah, of course they do.
Which is not shocking to me.
Well, Clemson still claims their 1981 natty. So, these schools are never going to choose to disown a natty, I don't think. But Clemson won a natty in 1981, and the next year they were busted by the NCAA for literally giving away cars and cash. They got they weren't even allowed to go on TV. They got a TV ban, a bowl ban, scholarship reductions. Literally every title run Clemson's ever been on, they've got caught cheating. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some of those players after the national championship, during that season, they even got paid under the table. We don't know what half of the stuff that goes on, right?
I'm not going to accuse Clemson of paying players currently because they haven't been caught doing it, but they have been caught juicing. If there's anybody that believes that on a team of 100 players, 3 got caught juicing, and those are the only 3 that were doing it, well, then you're just an idiot, especially considering the fact that only 20 players were tested. 20 players were tested, 3 of them tested positive. So simple math, you can extrapolate that out, and that'll give you a pretty good idea of a minimum number of players on Clemson who were juicing. So if you got about 100 players on the team, you test 23, turn positive. Probably about 15 would at least, but busted, cheated. But anyway, that's neither here nor there for
Alabama actually admitted to buying a car for a player. I think they bought I don't know if it's one player, but one player admitted that Alabama's staff or someone from Alabama gave him a new Corvette or a new Ford Mustang or something like that. So it was considered a gift and not necessarily a cash payment or something. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of stuff under the table that happens at these large marquee programs that we don't really know about because we don't see what's going on.
Well, the problem with that is there's a lot of people who are convinced that there's a secret underground network of tunnels beneath a Pizza Hut in Washington D.C. But it's not proven. So it's proven that Clemson took steroids. So I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to go down the road of, well, this team might have did this and this team might have did. A lot of teams might have did a lot of things. But I just go off of the ones that get caught. So, and then people will say, well, everybody does it. Okay, that's what the tater will tell you. Oh, all teams are taking that kind of stuff. Okay, so are you just telling me that Clemson is the only team that was stupid enough to get caught? I mean, what so anyway, hey, let me let you go. I appreciate the call, though. I better get worked up for no reason here. I don't want to do that. In case my heart doctor is listening. Gray Barbie, thank you for the super chat, sir. Forgot to say 38-27. South Carolina over my heels, but next week Miami's got it coming in Mac's first home game. I've been saying for a long time that's a dangerous game for Miami. That game at UNC. We'll see if Miami's able to get over that loss they took to Florida, but I think that's a dangerous game for Miami. North Florida White Trash, thank you for the super chat, sir. You see Urban wearing orange and blue Saturday. He's a Florida man, woo. Well, yeah, he's going to be wearing burgundy and white here pretty soon out on the left coast. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. How you doing?
I'm doing good, you?
Good. So I want to talk about this Vandy Georgia game, obviously. So, talking about your video from yesterday, how you said Keyshawn was kind of smack talking. I mean, not to the degree that I don't remember who it was on me that was shit talking Alabama, but he's not wrong in his response. Like what I would understand by what he means is that he's saying that we will run up the score, and in terms of we will score more points than you think, because this shit ain't new. Everyone thinks that we're a 3-9, 4-8 team every year.
Listen, I
and they don't look at the facts.
I appreciate you trying to carry the water for your team here and trying to translate what he said or whatever. But the reality is, any sports fan knows what the term "run up the score" means. Everyone knows what that means. Okay.
It's kind of like for normal terms, like
when Alabama,
everything is a different.
When Alabama was beating teams by 40 points last year, and they took the pineapple out and they put Jalen Hurts in, and he was throwing 60-yard bombs. What was that called?
Run up the score, but also
right.
like
everyone knows what running up the score means. But you're trying. I don't know what you're trying to do here. Some kind of Cambodian checkers or something, and change the meaning of a phrase that literally every sports fan knows. There is only one definition in the world of sports when it comes to running up the score.
I guess you're not wrong on that, but isn't it all up for interpretation?
Not really. It's like the last 2 years when we were beating the bejesus out of you 40-something to 13 in the second half, and so all we did was hand the ball off 40 times so that we didn't run up the score.
Anyway, also want to move on to something else.
Okay.
I will say this. It will be a lot closer game than people think. I know I was trolling you saying Vandy's going to win, that kind of shit. That's not happening. I ain't that stupid. But I think it's going to be a lot closer game than people think it will be. I'm saying 31 Georgia, 17 Vandy. Because it is week 1. And what worries me about Georgia is the unproven receivers. And the lack of, I guess, that connection between them and Fromm. And then the lack of just, like, overall playing time isn't there for where I would feel confident that, oh yeah, they're going to beat us by at least 25, like last year. So like I don't see that happening again.
What, the last 2 years?
The last 2 years, all right. Anyway, but that's why I think that it will be a lot closer than people think, which is why I told you I'd take the under in the bet now, whatever the score line. I think it's 21 right now. As I said, I take the under in it. I'm not going to bet Vandy outright to win it because that's throwing away money, and especially against Georgia.
What's the under? What's the over/under?
Well, the over/under is 21.
No, the spread is 21.5.
Yes, first one. Over/under. I don't know what the over/under is. I can check real quick.
The over/under is the total points scored. So when you say
I can check it real quick.
When you say you would take the under, so what you're saying?
I would take the under on the spread.
There's
under on the spread.
Well, I just don't want people to get confused. There's no such thing as taking the under on the spread. You would take Vandy and the 21.5.
In the spread, yeah, you're right. You're right. My bad.
When you say take the under,
Man.
That's talking about total points.
My bad. That's my fault.
No, it's okay. I just I don't want people to be I don't want people to be confused about what you're saying.
I get you. People are hard to understand sometimes.
That's true.
But I heard this from a Georgia alumni today. If Vandy beats Georgia, he said we'd win the Natty because we'd be so pissed.
You know R. Gannon in the comment section, Florida fan?
Yeah.
He just said, I don't know why this made me laugh. Have you seen the movie The Silence of the Lambs?
I have not.
No. He says it puts the under on the spread or it gets to hose again.
Oh my god.
That's from Silence of the Lambs when he's got this girl locked in this hole in his house, you know, and he has a basket and he lowers a bottle of lotion down to her in the basket and he likes to watch her put lotion on. That's sort of he's a weirdo. And anyway, he keeps going. It puts the lotion on its skin or it gets the hose again. It puts the under.
Oh,
it
God.
puts the under on the spread. Or you're gonna get the hose again, Jared.
You should come to Nashville though if you can.
No, I work 16 hours every Saturday during the season. I can't go to Nashville.
Alright then. Well, I'll be at the game, so that should be fun though. It's always first game of the year.
Yeah.
Even if it's a blowout, I've sat through worse.
Yeah, you'll have a good time, I'm sure. Win or lose. Remember, when it comes to Vanderbilt football, say it with me. It's not whether you win or lose. It's what?
It's not whether you win or lose.
It's how you play the game. Yes.
True.
Famous.
Because all I'm looking
famous
for
words
in
of
this
Mark
first
Richt.
game, I'm not. True. But in this first game, I'm not looking for Vandy to beat Georgia, 'cause that's asinine. To actually, thoroughly believe that we're going to beat Georgia. I'll obviously say we're going to beat Georgia because that's smack talking, that's just being a fan. But realistically, what I'm looking to see is how well our defense plays and how well our offense plays. Because obviously we have a new QB coming in, and if he can prevent defenses from stacking the box, right? If you can allow the run stopping to back off some because you're beating them with the pass, then I think that will bode well for the season, and we'll probably go to a bowl game again. If the defense is getting stops against Georgia's offense, then we should be fine in terms of the defensive side. That's all I'm looking for in that game, is to see where our bench is on offense and our bench on defense is.
Yeah. Well, good luck. I don't know what else to tell you. You know, I don't have no hate for Vandy, and you're one of my favorite college football fans on this channel because you're just as diehard of a Vandy fan as any Alabama fan or Ohio State or Oklahoma or Georgia or whoever. So, I hope for no injuries, obviously, and I hope you win some games after this week. But unfortunately, you're starting the season 0-1, but you already know that. But thank you for the call, sir. Appreciate that. That's Jared checking in, resident Vandy fan. Good people. Been known Jared for a long time around here, and he's a loyal fan. Zach Bolton, good morning, sir. Thank you for the super chat. Just left the Benz watching Atlanta United in their 13-day drought. Setting on move for college football. Go Dogs. Man, I had so much fun at that Atlanta United game I went to over the summer, and I had no expectations for it either. Lou Jr. wanted to go, so I took him. We'd never been to a pro soccer game before. It was so much fun. Those fans at that Atlanta United game was the closest atmosphere I've ever seen to a college football game. Those people are absolutely insane. No doubt about it. Rob W., thank you for the super chat, sir. I appreciate that. You seem like good people. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. It's McD Sports 4.
McD Sports, what's up, buddy? Maryland fan. Good morning.
Hey, how you doing?
Made it through the offseason.
Good morning.
Made it through the offseason, and as far as I know, the Maryland coaches didn't kill anybody this year. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Man, that is good news. That is great news.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. One of the things I was actually going to call about is Maryland, but the first thing I want to talk about is a top 10 team that I think needs to be on upset alert.
Who that is?
The Texas Longhorns are playing Louisiana Tech. They're a 20.5-point favorite. I don't think they cover that spread, and I think they might lose.
That's a bold prediction, sir, but of course that's the whole point of an upset alert. I don't know if I can go along with that yet. I'm doing a preview of that game tomorrow when I do the top 25 preview and predictions, so I'll have to look into that game a little bit. I'll have to educate myself, but I commend you for going out on a limb there. and it is probably one of the tiniest limbs I've ever seen. But like I said, that's the whole point of an upset, So, yep.
Yeah, if Louisiana Tech beats Texas, Louisiana Tech and Maryland have to play against each other in a bowl game or something for a championship, so the Texas fans can see who's the better team.
Right.
So, my second point I was going to make out of the three I was going to say was, what's your thoughts on the Maryland Terps this year? I know you didn't get around to a preview on them this year, which is fine. I'm not upset about that or anything. But what's your thoughts on the Terps this year? You think we make a bowl game?
I think a bowl game is possible. I mean, I think Maryland is one of those teams where they're looking at 5, 6, or 7 wins, and it's just going to depend on how 1 or 2 of those close games they're bound to have during the season go. I don't think very many college football fans would be surprised if Maryland went 5 and 7, and I don't think very many college football fans would be surprised if they went 7 and 5. The surprise with Maryland would come if they were really, really terrible or really, really good. I mean, Maryland is like, a lot of these teams that seem to hover around that mark or whatever. But so, I would give them a 60% chance of making a bowl game.
That's better than some, because I've seen some people predict their team go 2 and 10, and I think that's ludicrous to say the least. And one other quick point I want to make: I have a conspiracy theory involving Dan Mullen.
Okay, this ought to be pretty good.
Oh, I think it's going to be funny. So, you call Dan Mullen the Florida man. I think that's false. I think he's really a Georgia. I think he's really the Georgia man. And the reason why
he's a Florida man,
Lou. He's going to get let go by Florida in a few years once they realize he's the wrong guy, and then he's going to go up Interstate 95 into Columbia, South Carolina, and become the South Carolina head coach. Because Will Muschamp and Steve Spurrier, they were both Florida coaches, quit or got fired, and then next thing you know, they were a South Carolina head coach. So it would not surprise me if that happened. Dan Mullen as the South Carolina head coach.
That's not a crazy theory. I mean, it's actually a miracle that Dan Mullen still has a job this year, because of course the previous Florida head coach, Jim McElwain, won the SEC East his first year, won the SEC East his second year, didn't win the SEC East his third year, and was immediately fired. So obviously the bar at Florida is win the East or get fired. Dan Mullen didn't win the East. In fact, he came in third. And somehow Florida fans are happy about that. So I don't know. You may be onto something there. I don't know. But we'll keep an eye on the situation.
Dan Mullen works for UGA like Will Muschamp. That's what I think is going on.
I don't know about that. Will Muschamp is our most valuable employee. Dan Mullen is not quite in that league yet. I mean, you got to remember, Will Muschamp went to UGA, played at UGA, coached at UGA. Now he coaches at other teams on behalf of UGA. Dan Mullen doesn't really check off any of those boxes, at least not yet. He has managed to get blown out by UGA each of the last 2 seasons, so I guess he's taking a step in that direction, but he's got a ways to go if he wants to catch my boy Boom Muschamp.
But I thought I'd show that conspiracy theory, because I was thinking today about the trend, and I was like, man, that could actually happen, but thought I would share that. Well, I'm going to let you go. Thanks for taking my call, and go Terps.
Yeah, have a good morning. Thank you for the call. You seem like a smart individual. Waikiki, thank you for the super chat, sir. I really appreciate that. It means a lot. If Vandy upsets UGA, can next week's call-in show be Uncle Lou Live, brought to you by Jared? Yeah. That's not all. I made a comment on Twitter half joking, but then the problem is like 1,000 people screenshotted it and immediately started retweeting it. I said, if we lose to Vandy, I'll get a Tennessee Vols tattoo. So there's a tattoo on the line for me on this game. I have to get the Power T tattoo, some kind of Tennessee tattoo, whatever. If we lose to Vandy, but don't worry. I'm not. So yep. Good morning, Nat. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Uncle Lou?
Yeah, good morning, Nat.
Good morning. It's Peyton. Good morning, sir. I just wanted to call in, check in one time before the season. Of course, I'll be calling in here and there during the season, but wanted to I did want to get a few preseason predictions out of you. So I know you made all the preview videos, but of course that doesn't include conference title games or anything. So I want to know who is your official Final Four, your official playoff prediction.
I don't think I have one. I've named. I mean, your Power 5 winners are Michigan, Washington, Oklahoma, Clemson, and Georgia. Those are your Power 5 winners.
Gotcha. And I know you're on record for saying you said you like Trevor Lawrence in the Heisman race, right?
Yes.
Is that your pick?
Well, it's either going to be. I think it's a 2-man race. I think it's Trevor or Tua, and I think it's whoever puts up the best numbers. I wouldn't put one dime on anybody else. I don't think anyone else has a chance to win it.
Yeah, and when picking between those two, it's interesting. I think Tua just because I think the voters want to give it to him. In most other years last year he would have won it, but Kyler Murray had a year that we haven't really seen before.
Yeah. Well,
so
I want to see Tua.
Give it to him,
I want to see Tua start and finish a game.
That's a concern for the NFL. I mean, as an NFL prospect, I think he's the real deal if he can finish a game. But
it seemed to be a pretty big concern in Alabama's last. It seemed to be a pretty big concern against Georgia and against Clemson too. The Georgia game is what cost Tua the Heisman.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, 100%. And then you had Jalen Hurts come in and save the season. If it hadn't been for that,
I mean, the guy's never started and finished the game ever. He's a junior.
Yeah.
He's a junior.
Yeah,
he's never started and finished the game.
Yeah, he's never started and finished a game. But I think if he can, I think he has as good of a chance as anyone. Not just because of the voters, but in addition, I mean he's going to put up rushing stats and more so than Trevor Lawrence, and the voters like the guys who run around too. So that helps his cause.
Yeah. Of course, your boy is like 5th in the Heisman odds. So.
Yeah, and I mean he'll get some traction too, especially if he puts up some rushing stats, and he's got some time. This is a good season to maybe have a few softballs early, because he might struggle early, but the biggest thing I want to see out of him is I want to see him make strides as the season progresses. From what I've read, one of my inside sources, I heard the first week of camp, he looked absolutely disoriented in every way. Second week, he was better, and then the third week, he looked like a completely different quarterback. So, he definitely needs some coaching, but I'll be I'm going to try to say I'll be patient with him, but who knows when the season starts.
Let me ask you a question now. I want you to rank.
Yes, sir.
I want you to rank the following 3 people. Total yards.
Following 3 people. Okay.
Total yards in 2019. I want you to rank them from 3rd to 1st. You understand?
All right. Yes, sir.
All right. Jack Fromm, Jacob Eason, Justin Fields.
Okay, for total yards, I'm going to put Fromm 3rd, just the offense he plays in. I mean, as long as Swift's healthy, DeAndre Swift when healthy, I think he's the best running back in college football, no doubt about it. I mean, Etienne might give him a run for his money, Jonathan Taylor, but I think he's the most talented running back in college football. Over the offseason, I forgot Zamir White existed. It'd be a great story if he could stay healthy. So I'll go from 3. Eason, I'm expecting probably around. I'm expecting over 4,000 yards passing in the Pac-12. But with Fields, I'm expecting somewhere mid 3,000s, plus over 500 rushing yards. So I'll go Eason 2 and Fields 1. I think Eason will have more passing yards, but Fields will pass him in rushing yards if you combine the two.
Well, yeah, and you stated the obvious answer there. I've had this conversation in a Georgia Bulldogs Facebook group a few weeks ago, and I listed them in the same order you did for the same reasons. And well, first of all, half of them say no, but half of them say Fromm number 1, and but these people, they haven't seen a football game that didn't involve Georgia in 20 years. And then even the ones that think Fields may end up with more total yards, guess what they say?
What do they say?
This is gonna blow your mind, man.
I'm ready.
They say there's no defense in the Big Ten.
If anything, the opposite.
Man, I'm telling you, man. Listen, I can't. Here we are. It must be late in the show. I'm going down this road. You should have seen the Twitter mob I stirred up earlier, and it didn't even have anything to do with any of this.
I saw it.
Okay, but these people, man.
I saw you.
These people, the Big Ten plays no defense, and then you tell them, and then you point out the facts to them. What you tell them? Well, the Big Ten had more top 15 defenses in 2018 than the SEC did. Didn't you know what they say?
What do they say?
But look at the offenses.
Listen, I'm not going to be. I'm not going to try and say.
And listen, and the thing is, you know, and everyone watches knows, I think the SEC is the best conference. That doesn't mean that there's no defense in the Big Ten. That's just ridiculous. If there's a conference that's anywhere close to the SEC in terms of overall defense, it's 100% the Big Ten. Look at you're an Ohio State fan. Look at Michigan's front 7 the last couple of years. It's elite. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, it's just mind-boggling.
If anything, the conference needs more offense. I mean, you have a lot of these offenses are run first, chew out the clock offenses. You have obviously us, Ohio State, Penn State, and Nebraska now who are running the spread. But other than that, it's a defensive conference, and I'm not going to try and say the Big Ten's better than the SEC, but it's the second best conference in college football. I don't know how you could.
I got into it today with a guy. First of all, I agree with you. I think Swift is probably the best all-around running back in college football. Now, if you look at NFL draft boards and things like that, everybody's got Swift, Etienne, and Jonathan Taylor as the top 3 for the draft. The order changes a little depending on which expert you look at or whatever. But I think for my money, I'll take Swift. But I had a guy tell me there's absolutely nothing about Etienne that would make anybody think he's better than Swift. And I was like, well, I don't know if you can say that. Like you're splitting hairs there. Like those are two elite running backs that would play on any team in America. To say that there's nothing about Etienne, I was like, I just don't agree with that. I was like, he had almost 2 yards per carry more than Swift. And of course, you know what he said. ACC. And I said, and the thing is, like, of course, the ACC was absolutely terrible, but that was his only argument. Etienne's in the ACC, therefore he can't be better than Swift. And first of all, I think Swift is a little bit better. But you're splitting hairs here. I would take either one. I'm not knocking Etienne at all.
Yeah.
I think Swift is a little bit better, but it's just this mindset of people that are like yes. And then he posted his only proof was that the ACC is terrible, and then he posted the conference draft totals for 2018 that showed the SEC had more players drafted. I'm like, bro, believe me, there's nobody more pro SEC than me. That doesn't mean that every player in the SEC is better than their counterpart in the ACC. I'm like Trevor Lawrence is an elite quarterback. It's not because he's in the ACC. Etienne's an elite running back. It's not because he's in the ACC. Like, these are just elite level players. Like, but again, it's these people.
Yeah.
It's these people that don't watch. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking. There's some people that aren't as into football as other people are, and they have a team and they watch that team, and that's it, and that's fine. But you can't just say Etienne's no good because he's Swift is automatically better because he's in the SEC. Well, no. First of all, I do think Swift is better, but I have reasons beyond the fact that it's because Swift plays in the SEC. Like, that's not the only reason I think he's better. Like, it's just this, a lot of it is these people who are only football fans for 12 to 15 Saturdays a year. You know the people I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and we have them up here too, and they're just as hard to deal with. And yeah, I'd agree with you. I'd give the slight edge to Swift. I think he's a better receiver. But to say Etienne is not on the same level, I mean, did you at least watch the playoffs?
That's what I'm saying. Like, how can you? I told the guy, I told him, I said, watch. I said, you pick any Clemson game this year. Watch 5 minutes of it. If you know anything at all about football, you can immediately see the talent that guy has. And I think Etienne is probably a better running back straight ahead between the tackles. But I think most of the other areas I would give the advantage to Swift. I think Swift is a little bit quicker. I think he has a better first step. I think he has better video game moves, and he's way better at catching out of the backfield. I even had some Clemson fans come to my defense on Twitter and say, yeah, that's the one thing Etienne needs to work on. And I don't know. One Clemson fan told me he has bricks for hands. I'm not going to go that far. But Swift is an elite third down type back. I don't think he's only a third down back. I think he can play all three downs, I think. But so Swift to me just has more advantages overall, I think, than Etienne does. But I mean, again, it's like who's better, Joe Montana or Tom Brady? I mean, you can argue that to the cows come home. Same thing with Swift and Etienne. They're both elite level running backs. It's just this idea that Swift is automatically better just because he's in the SEC and you have no other reason at all. It's just it's just potato. That's all there is to it.
I don't know if you know this, but for a living, I right now I scout. Now I don't know what that's going to lead to, but right now I pretty much have a full-time partly paid internship to do work in scouting. I'm not going to specify the school. You never know who could be listening, but and I'll be the first one to tell you, DeAndre Swift, in terms of elusiveness and movement skills, Todd is as good as there is in college football. Now, yeah, between the tackles, Etienne is better. Maybe straight line speed, he might be a little better, but you're splitting hairs between the two.
Yeah.
But regardless, yeah, I'm just excited for the season. I do want to go on record with my conference picks, and then I'll form that into which four of those end up in the playoff. ACC, shocker, I'm going Clemson. I know y'all are wondering why. SEC, I had a tough time with this one. I'll give the slight edge to Alabama right now. Fewer question marks. I think they're going to be better on both sides of the ball. I keep telling myself Georgia's going to have to beat them at some point. It's going to happen. It's destined to. They've found a way to lose the last 2 years, but this could be the most talented Nick Saban team at Alabama I've seen. So it's hard not to go with them, but you're splitting hairs between those two. Big Ten, I'm going Ohio State. Call me a homer if you want, but in terms of pure talent, it's not even close. You know, could Harbaugh finally get us this year? Yeah, but I've never seen a team look so terrible their last 2 games and get so much preseason hype. So I got Ohio State over Nebraska in the Big Ten championship. Pac-12, I'm going with Oregon, and I think they don't lose more. I don't think they lose any more than a game, to be honest. Over the course of the year, I think that line and that physicality in the Pac-12 is a mismatch. I think they're going to wear down some Pac-12 teams just because their line is so nasty and physical, and I don't think other Pac-12 teams can bring that physicality. And Big 12, I'm giving the slight edge to Texas over Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's year to start contending is in 1 or 2 years. Could they win the conference and make it back to the playoffs? Yeah, but they're not going to go any further until they rebuild that defense. And if they do, I mean, watch out because their offense is already as complete as you can get. Passing game, running games, their line is elite every year, but they might take a slight step back this year to take a couple steps forward in future years. So the playoff, I'm gonna go with Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, Oregon. That's my 4, and that's not your conventional one. I know not a lot of people are picking Oregon, but anybody could just pick the top 4.
Yeah. Well, it's still not a crazy. I mean, it's not it's not an out of left field pick either. I mean, those are 4 of the if you were going to pick 7 or 8 favorites or whatever, those are right up there.
All right, so last question for you. Georgia's season ends against blank in the blank. So team and against what team and in what game?
Either Clemson or Michigan in the national title game.
Okay, that's all I needed. Good luck to your Dogs this season. I want to see you guys beat Bama. It would be nice to see someone different in the playoffs. And I hope to God, if there's one team I could see Ohio State play, it'd be Georgia, because the storylines in that matchup are unbeatable.
Yeah, that's sort of a nightmare scenario. I've kidded around a few times in the past. What if Georgia, Washington, and Ohio State all end up in the playoffs? It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah,
that would be.
I know you picked Washington in the Pac-12. I mean, I think it's a coin flip between Georgia and Alabama to win the SEC. That's not out of the realm at all.
Yeah.
The storylines of
crazy.
Would be something else.
Yeah, it would be wild. All right, hey man, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you for the call. Good luck to the Buckeyes this year. All right, that's gonna be it for the phone calls. Jesus, it's 11:45. All right, I appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Take phone calls. Don't forget, if you missed the beginning of the show, this Thursday I'm starting the show early. I'm going to try to start it when Georgia Tech and Clemson come on, but we're going to do a stream during the Georgia Tech and Clemson game, and we'll react to the game in real time, at least until it becomes a blowout. And then we'll do the regular show like we're doing now, where we take phone calls from you guys. So I think the game's at 7:30 or something. I'm going to try to start streaming as close to 7:30 as I can. Might be a little closer to 8, just depending on what's going on around here. But I'm going to live stream during that game, and we can talk about what's going on in the comment, kind of like what we did for the Miami and Florida game this past Saturday. And then once the game is out of hand, we'll open it up for phone calls and do the regular show like we're doing now. I'm also streaming the Georgia versus Vanderbilt game Saturday night, but that'll be over on the Patreon page only. So if you're not signed up over there yet and you want to, just click the link in the description of this video that says support the channel and join the Patreon page. It'll take you over to the Patreon page to get yourself signed up and join us on the Georgia stream this Saturday. All right, big shout out to everybody in the comment section again. Texas Boy, Easy E, Scott Bohr, Aaron Kirkwood, Michael Hammond, Blackhawk Central, Mark Dudley, Lee Taylor, Anthony Ramos. Who else is in here? Seth Meehan, Cousin Big Dog Toho, Coop Izzy, Lee Taylor, Charleston Frat Boy, good morning, sir. McD Sports, thank you for the call. Deep Barrett, thank you for the call tonight, sir. Scott Bohr, good morning. Thoughts on Stanford or Northwestern? I put Stanford on upset alert for that game. I took Northwestern in the points, and I wouldn't be surprised if they went out right. Jesus Christ Home Slice, what's up, buddy? Lee Taylor, Mike Taylor, Alan V, what's up, buddy? John Rosado, appreciate all you guys watching tonight. Thanks to everybody who called in. Sorry to those of you that weren't able to get through. Again, we do 3 of these shows a week, though, Tuesday and Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. So if you weren't able to get through tonight, I hope you're able to get through maybe this Thursday. Rommels, good morning. Grant Harmon, G. Smith, Slim Shady Canes, what's up, Betty? Tough loss for you, sir. Cousin Big Dog Toho, John Rosado, Michael Hammond, blah, blah, blah. Cheryl Jensen, good morning. Yep. Did you pick the Duck Auburn game yet? Yes, that was on. I previewed every SEC game on the video earlier today. I took Oregon in the 3.5 points. Auburn's a 3.5 point favorite. I took Oregon in the points in that game. If you want my reasons why or whatever, just watch the Oregon-Auburn part of that video from earlier today. Uncle Richie, good morning. All right, hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Play a song for you, and then we're getting out of here.
The last time we ever met.